Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, today, me and Buckeye Mike talk about Tom Brady getting the number one spot to commentate on Fox.
Let's talk about Brady. The man is football smart. He knows his football. He knows how to break down plays. Do you think him calling a game would be similar to the way Tony Romo calls the game, or do you think he'll end up falling under the category of like everyone else? Because I think to a point that I had made it in a previous stream at some point, Tony Romo, to people's points, are calling and predicting what the play is going to be while calling the game before the play even develops. So, I mean, how do you think it's going to come out for him?
Well, I mean, when you're a player like Tom Brady, who, has basically gone down as the best quarterback of all time, especially with the Super Bowl wins, just his stats and the longevity of his career, you're going to have people that like him and people that don't. You have players that weren't as successful, like in their career, and people will like them better, for who they are because they're not as, like prevalent or whatever. They're not like annoying to like, especially if they're like not a fan of the team, or, you can't really be as cocky of a person when you're not as good of a player. I mean, some people still are, but then people really don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that basically with Tom Brady, I mean, it's the fact that a lot of people who do not like Tom Brady probably won't like him as a commentator. I mean, just if you don't like the person, you don't want to see them, commentating games. So, I mean, for me, I watched Tom Brady, and when he was younger, he was, fairly cocky when he won games. But as he got older, he mellowed out. I, don't really have, that big of a, thing with Tom Brady where I'm not a fan of him. I mean, I respect what he's done, and he, gave us a lot of enjoyment watching, great football in the NFL. So, I mean, I don't really have any issues with him. But to your point about the commentating style, I think what would really benefit Tom Brady is if he is very likable when he's commentating and he breaks the game down at a very high level like Tony Romo does, as you pointed out. And if he's able to do that, then I think that a lot more people will warm up to him as a commentator, and probably would help if not every 2 seconds Fox is showing, highlights of Tom Brady's career or talking about all of his Super Bowl wins for people that aren't a big fan of Tom Brady. Then it probably would help if they just more talk about the game that they're currently, analyzing or whatever, commentating about. So, I mean, overall, I think that Tom Brady being, a Fox commentator, I don't really have any issues with it. I kind of wish, Greg Olson wasn't booted, from the top spot so quickly. Like maybe it was like a warm-up period where Brady could work his way into it, but he's immediately being given the top spot, which I understand. It's Tom Brady, the name appeal and everything. I mean, it makes sense. Like I get it. You just kind of wish there was a little bit of a hierarchy where you can move up. But besides that, I mean, I can say I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what he's going to do. I want to see how it's going to be presented. But I just hope that he does a really good job and is, analyzing the game and being very likable. So, in the future, because he has a 10-year contract, that it will be enjoyable over the 10-year period. And instead of it being that he does it for a little while and then people kind of, it's wore out its welcome.
Right. I think to your point, yes, they should have figured out a way to maybe ease Tom into it, instead of just throw him into the fire and make him on the number one team on Fox. I mean, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with having 3 analysts and having, a non-quarterback commentator and a quarterback commentator with a Gus Johnson type who's like just there to give emphasis on the, oh my gosh, he threw a bomb. What did you think of the bomb, Tom? Yeah, I loved how the receiver ran the bootleg route and brought in the curl scoop.
I will say though, to your point, if you notice, and obviously you watch it because it's on regular TV on CBS. But Jay Wright, they've done that with him. He's the third analyst. They've brought him in, and they still have the two guys that were doing it before, and Jay Wright's in the middle. So that could have been done, like you said. But yeah, I mean, I think that they could have put Greg Olson in between, or someone else. I mean, not to just take him out of there. But I mean, like I said, I completely understand why Tom Brady is getting the top spot. I get it. Like, I understand the name appeal. I mean, some people, when they have that draw, they're going to automatically be boosted higher. But I do kind of wish, like you said, that they would have the three analysts. I mean, maybe it's tougher for football. I don't know. But in basketball, the way they had it set up, you see the three guys on CBS, and it works really well. They all share the time, and and they bring up Jay Wright's past of him coaching, but it's not all the time. And it just, you mention it, and then the other two guys, do more of the analysts of the game. It just, to me, it blends really well.
Yes. I mean, to your point, like the NBA even does it with NBA on TNT with Reggie Miller and the other two. So, I mean, it can be done. It's just a matter of the network and the league wanting to do it. I mean, yes, Tom Brady, to your point, the big name appeal. And I think to a degree, we'll see more of a different side of Tom that we don't usually see. So, like, for example, I never cared for Tony Romo. Why? I never thought he was that good of a quarterback.
And that's the other thing. A lot of people didn't like Romo just because he wasn't that good, per se. But with Tom Brady, it's because he's too good.
Yeah, because he never won like that wild card game where he botched the kick, the hold for the kick against Seattle, and was like that short from getting the touchdown or the 2-point conversion. They should have won that game, realistically. It's things like that. Like Mark Sanchez, okay, he's more known for the butt fumble, and he was worse than Romo, in my opinion. Yeah, he got to 2 AFC championship games in a row, but it's the Jets, and the AFC was kind of wishy-washy at the time. My point is, like, I never cared for Romo, but I love watching Romo broadcasts because of the way he dissects the game.
Yes.
If we can get that with Tom, I think people are eventually going to come around. And like, okay, I didn't like Tom as a player because he won all the time. It's my reason. I don't care if it's a bad reason, but he's a good person or a decent person. And I just like the way he calls the game. There can be a difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it like I said, kind of to your point, off of your point, you have to be likable, and you have to break the game down at a high level. And if Tom Brady does that, then over time, I think a lot of people that aren't fans of Tom Brady will end up liking Tom Brady if it's only just for his commentating, and that's it. The on the field stuff, they'll still have all the memories that they didn't like, but as a commentator, people will enjoy listening to him break games down. And I think that that's what Tom Brady's got to aim for. I think that's what Fox is aiming for. And Tom Brady, when you listen to him talk, I mean, he's very intelligent. He talks very well. And so I think he's going to do a really good job. It's just about, breaking the game down at a high level and, doing it in a way that the majority of people like. Because, I mean, obviously, no matter how much, someone, a majority of people like a commentator, not everyone's going to like a commentator. You look at even Gus Johnson. There's some people that don't like Gus Johnson. I do.
I do.
I've always liked listening to him. Some people don't like Gus Johnson because, he makes a mistake every now and then, or he's too amplified. But I think it adds to the enjoyment of the game, especially when he's next to a commentator that's more of the breakdown, like Joel Klatt in football. He's I'm breaking it down, more flat, where Gus Johnson's oh man, I'm losing my voice hollering because there's a big touchdown. Like, that is a good contrast. And Tom Brady, he's just got to, be himself and do a really good job breaking the game down. And I think if he does, then I think that a lot of people will warm up to him. Like I said, even if it's just for commentating.
I almost wonder if to kind of get him in the groove and help him figure out his style and everything, so to speak. I almost wonder if we see Fox plaster him almost everywhere they can during the preseason for him to call as many games as possible in the 3 week span of preseason.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. I mean, because you want to, build up, his basically him being, doing the commentating and people, starting to, like Tom Brady as a commentator, get warmed up to him. I just think that Tom Brady, I mean, he's going to do a good job, I think, no matter what. I think I don't think he would be doing this if he wasn't capable of it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's, like I said, you listen to him talk, he's an intelligent guy. So he's going to do a really good job. He wouldn't be doing this if he wasn't. So I just think that as long as he does a really good job, I think the majority of people will, enjoy his commentating. And it's
And
going to
I don't.
benefit Fox and it's going to benefit him. So,
Oh,
I
for
mean, that's
sure.
a hefty contract.
And I mean, I don't know if people realize this, but his contract is with Fox. It's not with NFL on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if, too, we start to get, okay, Tom is comfortable on TV. Hey, Tom, here, in part of your contract, we need you to do something else outside of NFL. All right, well, I'll go do, a couple episodes on The Masked Singer on Fox, or let me go try to do something with, the one chef that I can't stand, Gordon Ramsay, and be on one of his shows for something. So we could see him randomly pop up on other Fox products because contract, yes, it's with NFL broadcasting, but at a finer standpoint or in a broader standpoint, it's with Fox itself. So,
Well, I mean, that could go one or two ways. I mean, just say that happens where, you know, he is on the Masked Singer or whatever, um,
I know,
or
right?
or some other show, like Gordon Ramsay's cooking stuff. I mean, if it's any of that, then I think that could go one or two ways. I mean, people could be like, wow, Tom Brady's doing something besides football, but it could also be where people are like, oh no, here's Tom Brady again. Because I mean, it's almost like with the Rob Gronkowski
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Now that he's out of football, he's on everything. He's in commercials everywhere, cameos everywhere, and some people really like it, but some people are like, oh no, it's Gronk again. It's kind of, it can go one or two ways. You can wring the well dry, or
Mm-hmm.
or people enjoy the fact he's doing other things besides football. I just think that you're never gonna make everyone like you when you're famous.
Right. And I think, if he has to show his face, for example, Gordon Ramsay or something other than football on Fox, I think it helps with the exposure, it helps him with being comfortable in other things and being on screen. But to your point, if it's a lot to do with showing his face, it could be oversaturation. Whereas, like I started with Masked Singer because why? Dude, Rudy Giuliani was on Masked Singer at one point, and he ended up being on for a couple of episodes. Why? Because you're covered up, and your voice is slightly altered. I think so to make it harder for the judges to guess who is in the costume.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they didn't do that, then I mean, everyone would probably know who it is. Especially if it's someone with a really recognizable voice. I mean, for sure. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I just I just think that it could be awesome to have Tom Brady do other things, but I think that they need to be a little weary of going overboard. Where he does too
Mm-hmm.
much and then people don't really like it that much. I do agree with you, one Scoot John, Gordon Ramsay. I mean, some of the stuff he says is hilarious.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting with Tom Brady. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out in 2024 and beyond, and seeing how he is as a commentator and potentially other things. But the reaction from people is going to be interesting to see if the majority of people like Brady doing all those
Mhm.
things or not. That's going to be interesting. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below what you think about Tom Brady getting the #1 spot to commentate at Fox. And I will see you next time.